Chapter 346 is even more unbearable. In the office, Huang Yidao handed a Huazi cigarette to Fang Hao, lit it, and said, "I seem to understand why you have an ongoing entanglement with your ex-wife. You still love her, and at the same time, you can't let go of your mother-in-law. You are really too sentimental. However, you scolded them, and you were right. I can just pack up and leave. Oh, I seem to have a group company under bankruptcy protection. If the company can't revive, I won't be able to recover my millions, and I'll really be penniless." Fang Hao smiled bitterly. Huang Yidao grinned and said, "Then you probably have a high probability of being penniless. I advised you not to take over that broken group. You insist on taking it. I don't believe you have outstanding medical skills, and you can also cross into business. I took over Blue Sky Group not for the sake of making money. I want to discuss Zhang Lingtian. Even if I lose those millions, I can't let Zhang Lingtian live comfortably." Fang Hao smoked and said with a smile, "You're right. If I could do business, why would I be a doctor? Why bother to look at patients and their families' faces? Do doctors need to consider people's faces?" Huang Yidao asked back. "You are the chief blade of the capital, definitely not needing to consider people's faces." Fang Hao suddenly felt that the Huazi cigarette in his hand was not just a Huazi cigarette, but a symbol of the change in their positions. He smoked a 5 yuan cigarette, while Huang Yidao smoked Huazi, most likely those special Huazi cigarettes given by patients' families, not the common ones on the market. Huang Yidao said, "Fang Hao, join the ranks of imperial physicians." Imperial physicians? Yes, by then, you won't need to open regular clinics. You only need to see a small number of people, and you can gain both fame and fortune. Fame and fortune? That sounds good. However, let me handle my personal matters first and then consider joining you. Fang Hao didn't immediately agree. The name Imperial Physician sounded good, but with his low status, becoming an imperial physician would still mean doing hard labor. Even if he had outstanding medical skills, he would end up being used by others. In all fairness, he became a doctor to treat the so-called privileged, right? To be honest, Fang Hao felt that working in the clinic, especially during the time he temporarily took over the gynecology department, when he scheduled appointments for dozens or even hundreds of patients a day, though it was tiring, he was full of energy and happiness. In a clinic, diagnosing patients' problems, prescribing targeted treatments, and hearing a sincere thank you from the patients, he felt that was the ultimate meaning of being a doctor. Su Buiyuan came over, and Huang Yidao left. "Fang Hao, are you still angry with us?" Su Buiyuan's tone was no longer as harsh and arrogant as before. Fang Hao raised his eyes and found that Su Buiyuan had visibly aged. The attraction of a young female assistant and the critical condition of his old partner had made the old professor physically and mentally exhausted. "Su Ro, your Zhang Lingtian is probably not much stronger than your father. You care about and love Zhang Lingtian so much, why not care more about your parents?" Fang Hao said, "Not really. In the past 4 years, none of you have respected me or trusted me. It doesn't matter this time. If I nitpick over everything, I would have been driven crazy a long time ago. Professor Su, I'll say it again. When the outsiders can't cure Professor Zhou, it's better to try my unconventional methods. I won't say it's 100% certain, but at least it won't make the situation worse." He extinguished the cigarette and sent the photo of Zhang Lingtian and Cheng Yu kissing to Su Buiyuan. He said, "Professor Zhou saw this photo and discovered something from it. Then she went to Tianyi Hospital to ask Zhang Lingtian about something and suffered a calamity on the same day. I think there must be a connection. Professor Zhou noticed that the photo was taken 5 years ago. The watch was a gift from Xiao Rou to Zhang Lingtian, and there seemed to be some other things. Can you see it?" Su Buiyuan immediately looked at the photo, adjusted the brightness, and carefully examined it. He said, "That's right, this watch was indeed bought by Xiao Rou. At that time, on Lingtian's birthday, he came to our house to teach Xiao Rou to play the piano. Then Xiao Rou said she wanted to give Lingtian a birthday gift and took out this custom-made watch that had been ordered in advance. Damn. Playing the piano? I bet it was playing a different tune on Su Rou's body." Fang Hao couldn't imagine that at that time, Zhang Lingtian still had X abilities and definitely wouldn't let Su Rou go. At that time, Su Rou, around 20 years old, had already developed a mature and charming allure. Su Rou's body was so mature, it must have been developed by Zhang Lingtian. Fang Hao thought about how he had been infatuated with Su Rou's body for the past 4 years, making him feel a nauseating urge to vomit immediately. Perhaps even earlier, Zhang Lingtian's hands had wandered on Su Rou's just-turned adult body, making Fang Hao feel how dirty the 4 years of his so-called true love were. Or maybe, Su Ro was very young at that time. He got excited and was choked by the smoke. He coughed several times in a row before he could recover. His voice was momentarily hoarse as he asked, could Xiao Ro afford $1 million watch? Is there some income one don't know about? Well, Su Buiyuan said, it's not intentional to hide it from you. She invested in stocks with Ling Tian and made some money. I guess she bought this watch, as well as the house and car, with that money. You don't need to cover up. These are Xiao Ro's premarital property. I won't have designs on her. Professor Su, you underestimate me. Last time when I speculated on Tianjiji stocks, I made quite a bit of money. Later, after successfully swapping kidneys for Zhang Jun, he said he wanted to give me 50 houses. I declined, so he said he could convert it into cash. If I really took his money, I could go to Tianjifeng to check out houses directly. Well, Su Buiyuan's face was red and hot, wishing he could find a hole to hide in. After being in a daze for a while, he squeezed out a few words, saying, Fang Hao, I was wrong. I underestimated you. Alright, I don't want to bring up old grievances. However, I think Professor Zhou's recent situation is definitely related to Zhang Lingtian. I heard someone say that Professor Zhou was the only woman Zhang Lingtian liked but couldn't get. Is that true? Fang Hao said this sentence that Zhang Quan had said. He treated Zhang Quan's words with some doubt. Su Buiyuan looked at the photo again and said, do you really think it's related to Lingtian? Su Buiyuan, you've really been blinded by pig lard. This matter was done by old dog Zhang. Even your daughter has been violated, and you don't even know. If it weren't for fear that you couldn't accept it and suddenly died in front of me, I would have told you long ago. Fang Hao said, absolutely. You know, Professor Zhou has been your companion for decades. What is Zhang Lingtian? Even if you don't suspect him, you should at least consider it. Zhang Lingtian even coveted your woman. With all the precautions and suspicions you have against me, you shouldn't have been fooled. Fang Hao reminded him, saying, don't be foolish and directly confront him. Otherwise, you'll be injected, your brain will be messed up, and you won't even remember who you are. Well, Su Buiyuan still found it hard to believe. Fang Hao saw Su Buiyuan's reaction and knew that Su Buiyuan still couldn't believe that Zhang Lingtian was the culprit. He couldn't wake up a person pretending to be asleep. He left the hospital and in the parking lot, he saw a big Benz parked next to his car. He went over, and he happened to see Zhang Yue Huo sitting in the car. Is this woman waiting for me? Chapter 347, Evil Deeds. Zhang Yue Huo smiled at Fang Hao, waiting specifically for him. She calmly said, I never expected you to be quite capable. I'm curious how you managed to escape from the provincial bureau. Did you grow wings and fly out? So, she recognized me. She reported someone impersonating a police officer, which triggered the alarm. Fang Hao understood. He replied, the thief cries, stop the thief. You and that old dog Zhang Lingtian are of the same kind. I can't believe it. Your medical skills are good, but your character is so low. It seems I need to find some time to teach you a lesson. Zhang Yuehua's tone turned cold. You guys, with high moral standards, messing with married women, threatening and planning to harm a 3-year-old child, pushing someone downstairs and then framing them, how despicable. Truly, the pass of the wicked is their certificate. Fang Hao lowered his head, just in time to see Zhang Yuehua's towering peaks and deep gorges. He thought, this is also a masterpiece. Damn it, if I were a bit more despicable, I could get this woman, make her fall in love with me, take all her family assets, and then kill her. Fang Hao suppressed the devilish thoughts in his mind. He couldn't do something so wicked. Zhang Lingtian betrayed him, and Fang Hao's revenge was aimed at Zhang Lingtian. What he wanted was to see Zhang Lingtian's miserable end. He said, go back and tell that old dog Zhang that there will be consequences for what he's done. Zhang Yuehua said, I don't understand what you're talking about. My big brother has an alibi. Accusing my big brother like this, be careful I sue you. Do you think you can say anything just because Cheng Lao supports you? Let me tell you, you're being too naive. If you get into trouble and I catch you, Cheng Lao won't be able to save you. Zhang Lingtian's current achievements in Jiangdong City were unparalleled, and this wasn't achieved overnight. The efforts of Zhang Lingtian's family were evident, as seen from the incident where Deputy Director Lao Ying braved danger to destroy fingerprints. Apart from Cheng Lao's stern and impartial nature, there was probably someone who could balance her, making it closely related to her. Fang Hao remained calm. Swearing was just a means of venting, and it didn't affect his thinking. I want to retaliate against Zhang Lingtian, make him witness, in his lifetime, the destruction of the family industry he worked so hard for. He will definitely die of anger. When Fang Hao thought of this, some cells in his body seemed to cheer with excitement, making him tremble slightly. Dr. Fang. Li Jun walked over from the outside, calling out to Fang Hao. He had recognized Zhang Yuehua in the Big Benz and was worried about Fang Hao. It's okay. Fang Hao waved his hand, signaling Li Jun not to come over, he could handle it. Zhang Yuehua sneered, saying, "Oh, you have a bodyguard. No wonder you're so arrogant." Her eyes showed disdain, implying that he was just a weakling relying on borrowed authority. Beware of the mad dogs in society, don't let them bite me. Speak up, did you specifically wait for me? You're not just here to chat nonsense with me, right? Fang Hao was concerned about something, and the other party wouldn't come for no reason. Zhang Yuehua asked, I know you went to see Zhang Quan. What did you talk about? So, this woman cares about this. She's afraid that Zhang Quan will reveal something to me. Fang Hao replied, Zhang Quan is a lecherous person. What else could we talk about? Did you verify what Chen Mei said about your wife and him? Everyone knows? Suro, you're about to lose face in Jiangdong City, right? Fang Hao's eyes slightly condensed. He said, it's good that I didn't go out, otherwise, this kind of thing would have spread 1,000 miles away. However, besides telling me these things, Zhang Quan also told me something else. What is it? It's hard to believe, and I dare not believe it. He told me why he agreed to take the blame. There were 2 conditions he couldn't refuse. First, after he was released from prison, he would take over Zhang Lingtian's position and become the spokesperson for your Zhang family. It's not just about money but also about Zhang Lingtian's various playthings and hobbies. Second, Fang Hao stared at Zhang Yuehua's chest, his gaze unapologetically direct. What are you looking at? Zhang Yuehua had a premonition of something and instinctively covered herself, creating a barrier. Fang Hao said, secondly, I can't believe it myself, and I dare not believe it. Zhang Lingtian agreed to give you to Zhang Quan. Aunt and nephew, tut, it's like the story of the contemporary heroes. You're spouting nonsense. You're trying to sow discord. Zhang Yuehua didn't expect Fang Hao to say something so ethically inappropriate. In a hurry? The world's most potent lie is indeed one that is half truth, half falsehood. Fang Hao said, oh really? What kind of person is Zhang Lingtian? Don't you know? Moreover, I have undisclosed leverage over Zhang Quan, something he'd rather keep hidden. He had to plead for my help, and in return, he could only tell me. Fang Hao remained remarkably calm and continued, in this world, there are indeed bad people, and some of them have no moral boundaries whatsoever. Therefore, never underestimate the evil in people. Don't rely on your instincts alone to judge a person's character. Don't overestimate the goodness of human nature, and don't underestimate its ugliness. Taste it, savor it. Take your time. Fang Hao, explain yourself. Watching Fang Hao drive away, Zhang Yuehua's brows furrowed deeply. Fang Hao's words left her unable to calm down. Because Fang Hao mentioned that after Zhang Quan was released on bail, he would take over Zhang Lingtian's position, this was something she personally told Zhang Quan, and the number of people who knew couldn't exceed 5. How did Fang Hao know? It must be from Zhang Quan. And why did Zhang Quan tell Fang Hao? It must be because he had some leverage over Fang Hao. So, was Fang Hao's statement about Zhang Quan coveting her, his niece, also true? Big brother is hiding something from me. Zhang Yuehua thought about the mysterious and unpredictable Zhang Lingtian and felt that for self-preservation, he would indeed betray her. It must be because her big brother had done it before. Once bitten, twice shy. Suddenly, Zhang Yuehua felt a chill running through her body, making her extremely uncomfortable. The residential area. Fang Hao and Li Jun smoked, informing each other that Zhang Yuehua recognized him and reported to them. Li Jun asked, how did she figure it out? It wasn't because your face is too handsome, right? I should have told you to wear a fake beard. It's possible. But I think it's more likely because you were present. You went to catch Zhang Lingtian, and the Zhang family must see you as a thorn in their side. Even if you turn to ashes, they'd recognize you. Fang Hao blew a smoke ring and continued, you think they won't try to knock you out? They will. It depends on how swift their actions are. Li Jun grinned, showing no fear. Be careful. Fang Hao waved his hand and went upstairs. In the living room, his ex-wife approached with slippers. Despite Fang Hao's resistance, she said, this is a thank you for taking over the treatment of my mother. I just want to express my gratitude. Fang Hao glanced at Suro, hesitated, then called his son to come and take a bath. He found the master bedroom very quiet, only to discover that his son was already asleep. I had him take a bath and put him to sleep. Tonight, you can stay and accompany me. We are now a family of 5, sharing the same bed, and having each other as company. Su Ro tried to embrace Fang Hao from behind, but he pushed her away, much to her discontent. You sent Jia Jia to the United States, and then you rushed back. You're really a heartless mother. Fang Hao shook his head and entered the study. He accessed the computer, opened a folder containing the data card's content obtained from Zhang Lingtian. The video and photos from that night, the process of Zhang Lingtian training a beautiful nurse. He chose a particularly spicy scene, where Zhang Lingtian was deeply engrossed, and sent it to Su Ro. On the other side, after Su Ro saw the photo, her face suddenly turned cold, and she tightly gripped her phone. Chapter 348, You Can't Understand. The next day, Fang Hao noticed that his ex-wife didn't look well. Her unparalleled face displayed signs of fatigue due to lack of sleep. Did this wretched woman not sleep well last night? What was she up to? Could it be she was exchanging flirtatious messages with that old dog Zhang on WeChat? Front 3, back 3, this wretched woman has now passed the danger period. She can engage in intimate activities now. This woman's desires are strong, how will the old dog satisfy her? Wretched woman, are you going to seduce the old dog? Fang Hao said, you're frowning early in the morning, who are you trying to impress? My place might be a bit simple, if you don't like it, you can leave. Wife, I like your place. I'm willing to stay with you even if it means sleeping on the streets. His ex-wife quickly replied, wearing a charming smile despite her fatigue. She felt her ex-husband's concern and saw it as a sign that he still had feelings for her. Whether you like it or not, this is my home. With Guolan's arrival last night, you should see that there will soon be a mistress in this house. If you stay here, what are you? Husband, I know, but you haven't let Guolan move in yet. His ex-wife had a sudden inspiration and turned to their son, saying, let's vote now. If you agree that mom should move in, raise your hand. I agree. Without much thought, their son raised his hand, but under Fang Hao's cold gaze, he had to put it down. Husband, you're being unreasonable. But, I still won because I have 2 votes in my belly. I won 3-2. From now on, I'll be living here. His ex-wife was delighted and celebrated with a high five with her son. This won't change anything. You can't change anything. Fang Hao's expression solidified. He didn't want to get entangled with his ex-wife, but looking at his son and ex-wife together, his son's happiness was genuine. Because at this moment, his son's laughter was the most innocent and pure. Husband, I know I can't change you, but I can change myself. I neglected you and this home before, but now I won't. I don't believe it, and I don't want to hear it. Fang Hao had his son pack up a bit and sent him out. Seeing that his ex-wife had no intention of leaving, he threw a questioning look at her. If mom doesn't want to see me, I won't go in first. His ex-wife closed the door, turned around, and looked at the tightly closed door. Husband, what secrets are you hiding inside? Dad, I want to visit Grandma. In front of the kindergarten, while Fang Hao was adjusting his son's collar, the boy suddenly said this. You'll see her. Fang Hao could guess without thinking. It was probably his ex-wife who persuaded their son. Otherwise, why would their son suddenly bring it up after so many days without mentioning Grandma? And today happened to be the day when Zhou Fen was transferring from the capital, perhaps she was already on the plane. Fang Hao went to the hospital, and at the underground elevator in the parking lot, he saw Li Dong's wife and a young female police officer. The female officer had an average appearance, with acne on her face, making her more irritating. But her physique looked like she could handle herself well in a fight. Director Fang, hello, I'm Ren Xiaoying, reporting to you. The policewoman saluted Fang Hao directly. Don't be so formal. I'm not part of your system. Don't report to me. I'm just an ordinary doctor. Fang Hao was speechless. Being saluted like this made him feel flattered and uncomfortable. Li Dong's wife said, Ying, don't be so formal. Just tell him the matter. Dr. Fang's time is precious. Okay. The policewoman said, last night, Zhang Yue Huo went in overnight and contacted Zhang Quan. I don't know what was said. The meeting lasted for 20 minutes. Zhang Quan was initially agitated, then extremely discouraged. Be careful. They might do something to Zhang Quan. Wait a minute. Isn't he under the control of your Chengli family? Why did you let Zhang Yue Huo go in? Because of Lao Yong's influence. After all, he's a deputy bureau chief, ranking higher than us. Then be careful. Don't make the same mistake as last time, with the fingerprints being swapped. Fang Hao didn't say much. After all, he just hoped Zhang Quan would die, whether it be through legal punishment or Zhang Yue Huo clearing the obstacle. He didn't need to worry about it. Zhang Quan must die, for the sake of his son. The policewoman left. Li Dong's wife and Fang Hao entered the elevator, refraining from speaking as another doctor joined them. After treating Cheng Lao, Fang Hao returned to the special care ward and found his ex-wife, Su Ro, standing outside the glass door, peering at Cheng Yu through the glass. He frowned and asked disapprovingly, "What are you doing here?" "Husband, I came to see Sister Cheng. She's my good friend. I never expected her to end up like this." His ex-wife explained, her eyes becoming moist as she spoke. Fang Hao signed a document, consulted with the two guarding policewomen, and then brought his ex-wife inside. Seeing Cheng Yu lying there up close, his ex-wife felt extremely uncomfortable. "Husband, can Sister Cheng wake up?" Fang Hao lowered his voice and said, "In a few days, I'll be able to wake her up. You go tell that old Xing dog that his days are numbered." The one who pushed Cheng Yu down the stairs that night was him. His ex-wife also lowered her voice, making sure not to be heard by the policewomen outside the door. She said, "Ling Tian wouldn't do such a thing, he wouldn't." "Wouldn't he? Do you really think Xing Lao treasures you women? With so many women around him, his love is boundless? He can't even love himself enough. Do you know why Zhang Quan would take the blame? It's because Zhang Lao promised to pass on the family business to Zhang Quan, not just the wealth but also the women. Especially you." Zhang Quan told Chen Mei that he hadn't had you yet, and this time, by taking the blame, he could get wealth and you. He didn't hesitate and agreed directly. "Husband, it's not what you think." "Oh, then what is it?" "You misunderstood me. I have nothing to do with Zhang Quan. What Chen Mei saw wasn't me. I swear, if I really had something with Zhang Quan, I'd be struck by lightning, and I'd die a horrible death." "I don't believe you." "Husband, what do you want me to do for you to believe me?" "I won't believe you no matter what you do. With Cheng Yu in this condition, in a few days, I'll be able to wake her up. By then, you'll see Zhang Lao's true colors. Women to him are just playthings. Once he's tired of them, he throws them away." "Husband, don't look at the issue with bias, it will lead you to the wrong conclusion. There are many things and people you haven't understood." "No, I understand very clearly. The one who doesn't understand is you." "Husband, this is a special care ward. Do you want to argue with me here? Do you want to make a scene? Do you want fewer people to know about your shameful secrets?" Fang Hao knew that if they continued arguing, he would lose control and explode. Moreover, quarreling would affect his mood and hinder his concentration on treatment. "Okay, Cheng Yu is in your hands now. When she wakes up, she won't accuse Ling Tian because he didn't do it." His ex-wife sighed, "I'll go see Mei Mei." She lowered her head, cast a sidelong glance at Cheng Yu, and sighed deeply. "Ah, Sister Cheng, if you hadn't given up on competing with me, you wouldn't have ended up like this. At least I have a daughter with Ling Tian, his only flesh and blood. What do you have?" Chapter 349, Reaping What You Sow. "Su Ro, why are you here?" Chen Mei was surprised to see Su Ro, who brought fruits and flowers, showing great concern. "Auntie, rest assured, my husband Fang Hao allowed me to bring these." Su Ro handed the fruits to Chen's mother and deliberately mentioned Fang Hao's name. Didn't you get divorced from Director Fang?" Chen's mother looked at her daughter with some confusion. When her daughter expressed her liking for Fang Hao, she felt it was inappropriate at first. However, when she heard that Fang Hao had divorced, she supported it. "Auntie, I was a bit willful, which angered my husband, leading to the divorce. But we're living together again because I'm pregnant with his child, twins actually." Su Ro smiled as she explained. "Oh, I see. Well, you and Mei Mei have a chat then." Chen's mother felt a bit disappointed. Fang Hao was young, handsome, and a talented doctor with a promising future. If Fang Hao could become her son-in-law, she would be very satisfied. However, since Fang Hao already had children with Su Ro, and if he didn't want more, her daughter would be at a disadvantage. After Chen's mother left, there were only the two women in the hospital room. Su Ro answered Chen Mei's earlier question, saying, "My mom isn't feeling well, so I went to take care of her. When I heard my husband talk about your situation, I came early to see you." Chen Mei furrowed her brows and asked, "Su Ro, tell me, did you and Fang Hao really get divorced?" "The legal procedures have been completed." "What about your feelings?" "I love my husband, and he loves me. We will remarry." "Mei Mei, I know you also like my husband, but don't waste your energy on him. He will only accept me as his woman. But he knows about you and Zhang Quan's affair. He won't remarry you." Chen Mei played her trump card. Su Ro, however, smiled faintly and said, "You've misunderstood. Zhang Quan and I never had any relationship. It's impossible. I saw it with my own eyes. Su-ro didn't rush to defend herself. Instead, she took out her phone and showed a picture of Yue Xia Huo, saying, "Take a closer look. Is it really me? This? Could I really have been mistaken? Is she your sister? Why does she look so much like you?" Chen Mei felt discouraged. The resemblance between Yue Xia Huo's photo and Su-ro was uncanny. In the world, there are face doppelgangers. Don't forget, we've encountered them before. Two children from different countries and families turned out to look exactly alike. Oh, don't you like football star Messi? There's an Iranian Messi, right? Chen Mei became less certain and said, Then, according to what you're saying, you and Zhang Quan really didn't have an affair? Do you think it's possible? My husband loves me so much. He's outstanding and virile. I can be satisfied with him, why would I need another man? Su-ro had a slightly triumphant smile. But you two are already divorced. That's a misunderstanding. Now my husband regrets it. In a short while, we'll remarry. Mei, you're my good sister. Don't you want to ruin the relationship between my husband and me? If you do that, not only will you not get my husband, but will truly become estranged. There are plenty of men in the world, don't fixate on my husband, okay? Alright, after your husband cures me, I'll leave. I wish you both happiness. Thank you. I will cherish my husband. Upon returning to his office, Fang Hao found his ex-wife inside, standing by the window, observing the scene below the hospital. He said, "Your mom comes from the sky, go wait for her on the rooftop." Wife, my mom sees me as her divorced daughter-in-law and doesn't want to see me. I won't go up for now. I find it interesting watching people coming and going, mostly patients. That's nonsense. Why come to the hospital if you're not sick? Well, husband, does it always take this long to treat Sister Chang? His ex-wife asked this question. Fang Hao didn't answer directly but said, "You seem to be in a good mood. Did you manage to whitewash yourself in front of Chen Mei and use Yue Xia Huo as a shield?" Husband, I really had nothing to do with Zhang Quan. Think about it, why would I be interested in such a man? Oh, right. You're interested in old man Zhang. You. Husband, what Chen Mei saw was really Yue Xia Huo, not me. I don't want to argue about this. Let's put the Zhang Quan matter behind us. Who is this Yue Xia Huo, and how is she related to you? I asked your parents, she's just an adopted child from your Zhou family. How can she look so much like you? She's a look-alike. What's so surprising? Are you unaware, or are you hiding something from me? I really don't know. Well, find out, because when your mom saw Yue Xia Huo, her expression was strange, as if seeing a relative. I asked her if Yue Xia Huo was her illegitimate daughter, but she calculated the time and said it was impossible. She used contraceptives after giving birth to you and couldn't have had another child. Moreover, giving birth is a big deal, it couldn't have been hidden from Su Buiyuan. Besides, she was 40 at the time. Fang Hao leaned in closer and spoke even more quietly. How did old man Zhang get involved with Yue Xia Huo? I don't know. Right now, I have to take care of our daughter, be cautious of being deceived by other women, and I don't have the energy to investigate other matters. If you want to know about Yue Xia Huo, go ask her. I went to ask her, and she wanted to sleep with me. Then let her sleep. I permit it. Hee. Indeed, they're all trash. You brought it up first. Blame yourself. Fang Hao's phone rang, it was President Chen. The helicopter carrying Zhou Fan would arrive in 10 minutes, and Fang Hao needed to prepare. Aren't you going up? Fang Hao asked his ex-wife. I won't go. I'll wait here for your good news. She bit her lip. Treat your parents better, treating old man Zhang just 1% as well, and your mom wouldn't be in this state. Fang Hao was very disappointed. He went upstairs, waited for a few minutes, and received Zhou Fan. Zhou Fan directly said, "Son, hurry and take mom home. Seeing you makes her feel better." Oh, mom isn't sick. They said mom doesn't remember them, but mom remembers you. Mom isn't sick at all. Ridiculous. She didn't want to lie in the hospital bed and insisted on getting out. Professor Zhou, listen to me. First, go down for an examination. There's nothing wrong. I'll take you home afterward. Fang Hao was speechless. From Zhou Fan's tone and expression, it didn't seem like an act. He led her away, extremely puzzled. Could selective amnesia really be like this? What, Professor Zhou? I'm your mom, call me mom. I'm not sick. I'm perfectly fine now. Zhou Fan still refused treatment. Alright, you've got what you wanted. Mom, just behave a bit. If you go home, you'll be alone, no one will accompany you. Oh, then I'll stay here and accompany you to work. I'll let you examine me. This time, Zhoufan has calmed down. The people around sighed with relief. But in the next moment, Zhoufan's words made Su Buiyuan's face turn red. Zhoufan told Fang Hao to come closer and said, "That dead man left me a little treasure chest. You don't need to work, it's enough for us to live on. You can marry a new wife." Chapter 350, Former Wife Skillfully Resolves Mother-in-Law and Daughter-in-Law Relationship. After a thorough examination, Dr. Fang arranged acupuncture treatment for Zhoufan to help her sleep. He then entered the consultation room, where Dr. Su Buiyuan, Zhou Xiang, and others eagerly awaited his conclusions. Opening the image viewer, Fang displayed a brain scan and explained, "The damage to the hippocampus is severe, resulting in significant memory loss, some confusion, and a noticeable decline in cognitive function. During this period, she still remembers me and Su Ro, even if our relationship is a bit chaotic. However, over time, she might forget us as well." Dr. Su Buiyuan quickly asked, "Fang Hao, is there really no solution?" Zhou Xiang added, "Fang Hao, we believe in you, that's why we brought Zhou here. But your conclusion is disheartening." Fang Hao glanced at everyone and said, "I just received the examination report, and I explained it to you so you wouldn't be confused. Besides, I haven't started the treatment yet. Why lose confidence so soon?" Dr. Su Buiyuan's eyes lit up, and he exclaimed, "Fang Hao, I knew you would have a solution. Hurry and start the treatment. I believe in you." Zhou Xiang softened his tone and said, "Fang Hao, tell us, how can we proceed? We won't interfere, but you need to reassure us." Fang Hao explained, "The hippocampus has suffered damage and has already shrunk significantly, but it's not completely atrophied. From my understanding, the hippocampus, responsible for storing memories, does not exist in isolation. Well, forget the detailed explanation, you wouldn't understand. Simply put, we need to prevent further atrophy of Professor Zhou's hippocampus. Then, take her to a familiar environment, stimulate her gradually, and she should be able to recall memories." Su Buiyuan asked, "What's the success rate?" "Not to claim 100%, but it should be around 99.9%. Just give her some time. If everything goes smoothly, you'll be able to have a family reunion dinner before the new year." "Okay, I believe in you. We entrust Professor Zhou to you," Su Buiyuan said, visibly relieved. Despite looking down on Fang Hao's background, Su Buiyuan acknowledged Fang Hao's competence. After everyone dispersed, Su Buiyuan approached Fang Hao and said, "About the little treasury my mother mentioned, it wasn't intentional to hide it from you. Some companies send me shares in advance to get data from me, knowing about certain policies. The total should be around 10 million yuan now, kept in overseas accounts. Initially, it was meant for Su Ro's overseas education, but she never had the intention, so the account has been untouched. I can transfer it to your care." Fang Hao, not interested in their money, said, "Let it be. I'm not after your money. Keep it for retirement. Having that sum is more dignified than receiving the national retirement pension." As Fang Hao turned away, he heard a chair fall behind him. It turned out Su Buiyuan's body suddenly leaned to the side, causing a collision. Fang Hao hurriedly approached, supported him, and helped him sit in a nearby chair. Checking his pulse, Fang Hao found Su Buiyuan's pulse weak but stable. As for other issues, there seemed to be none. Su Buiyuan said, "I suddenly felt dizzy just now, and now I feel weak all over." Fang Hao asked, "Did you eat anything this morning?" Su Buiyuan replied, "No. Your mother's situation has taken away my appetite. If you die, old man Zhang and Su Ro will become even more unbridled." Fang Hao said, "Pay attention to your health. Your pulse is fine, it's just that the recent ups and downs have made you weak. I'll give you an intravenous drip later. Before Professor Zhou recovers, you mustn't collapse." "Okay, I'll listen to you." After thinking for a moment, Fang Hao added, "At your age, spare your assistants. If you really die in their hands one day, your lifelong reputation will be ruined." Su Buiyuan's face turned bright red, completely embarrassed. At the entrance of the hospital room, Su Ro, with Fang Hao's permission, entered. "Mom, how do you feel?" Su Ro asked, noticing that her mother's complexion had improved compared to when she was in the capital. "Why are you here?" "I'm not your mother, don't call me that," Zhoufan replied. Looking at Fang Hao beside her, Zhoufan complained, "Haven't you divorced her? Why did you let her come? Are you intentionally trying to provoke me?" "Mother." Su Ro found it awkward to address her. She said, "Do you still remember why my husband and I divorced?" Zhoufan's head ached, unable to recall. She looked at Fang Hao and said, "Yes, why do I only remember that you two divorced, but not the reason for the divorce. Son, did she treat you and me poorly? Suro, seizing the opportunity, said, Mother, your memory. You complained about my incompetence in conceiving and not giving you a grandchild. But in fact, when you urged us to divorce, I was already carrying my husband's child, your grandson, and it was twins. Damn it, Suro, you have this cleverness, so why did you let old Manzang manipulate you? Have you fallen in love with old Manzang, causing your intelligence to decline? Fang Hao said, don't make up non-existent relationships. She has memory loss now, and by brainwashing her like this, she might really recover with these memories. Husband, what I'm carrying is indeed your child. I can do a paternity test if you want, Suro said. Turning to Zhoufan again, Suro asked, now that I have a child, can I call you Mom? Call me that for now. If you don't give birth in a day, you won't be considered a real daughter-in-law. I won't recognize you. Zhoufan surprisingly believed some of it. Yes, Mom, I will definitely give birth. Moreover, in the future, I will have more children for my husband. He likes children a lot, Suro said. Suro reached out to hold Zhoufan's hand and found that Zhoufan didn't resist. They sat side by side. It didn't take long for them to find a topic. Indeed, blood is thicker than water. Suro's ability to read between the lines has improved significantly. Fang Hao said, take care of her. In the afternoon, while Fang Hao was researching treatment plans in his office, he suddenly received a call from a nurse. She said that an elderly man named Zhang Lingtian wanted to visit Zhoufan, and the hospital leadership asked him, as the attending physician, to be present. Damn, old man Zhang is here. Fang Hao was greatly surprised, quickly left his office, and hurried towards Zhoufan's ward. He found that Director Chen and leaders from the municipal and provincial health bureaus accompanied Zhang Lingtian. Zhang Lingtian still had traces of bruises on his face. After all, at his age, recovery ability was greatly diminished. Fang Hao wanted to rush forward and beat him up again. Thinking about the occasion, he forcibly restrained himself. Zhoufan still didn't remember Zhang Lingtian and others and impatiently asked them to leave. Zhou, think again. Don't you really remember me? Zhang Lingtian asked. Son, who is he? Is he important? I really forgot, Zhoufan asked Fang Hao. Zhoufan really can't remember anything. Fang Hao said, he owes you a lot. Don't forget him. Zhoufan then asked, is he a debtor? Old turtle, you're seeking death? Zhang Lingtian looked at Fang Hao, his eyes filled with a fleeting coldness. Fang Hao also stared back fearlessly, saying, Mom, you're right. You can't remember now, but I remember, and he remembers. Let's see what he has to repay you. Zhoufan then looked at Zhang Lingtian and said, my son's words are my words. Of course, I remember very clearly. Zhou, we'll come to see you again. After bidding farewell to Zhang Lingtian, as he passed by Fang Hao, he snorted, and a flash of killing intent appeared in his eyes.